Welcome you to the October edition of Eye on the Storm. Randy Payton, the Sports Information Director here at the University of Rio Grande, joined by Athletic Director Jeff Lanham, and kind of a busy time of the year for all of us over at the Line Center. We're getting the fall sports going into their stretch run. The winter sports are getting ready to get underway, and it's a busy, busy time.
It is. This is a crossover time, Randy, that we run into every year. Not only do we have the fall and the winter, but we also have the spring sports. Everybody is training this time of the year, so it keeps everybody hopping over there.
Well, obviously, the bulk of our show today, taking a look at what's getting ready to get underway, and that's basketball. We'll be joined a little later by men's basketball head coach Ken French and women's basketball head coach David Smalley. We'll first start, though, by taking a look at what's going on with all of our fall sports right now, and we start with men's soccer. They're ranked number 3 in the country right now. They're 14-1-1. They play at Cincinnati Christian on Thursday night, and I guess in terms of what's going on in the River States Conference, a big matchup recently at West Virginia Tech that results in a 1-1 tie, but other than that, things are rolling along for Scott Morrissey.
And Randy and I, we were both fortunate enough to be able to go over and watch that game at West Virginia Tech. What a great soccer game. It was like a tennis match going from one end to the other end all night long. And just two very good teams, a very good soccer match that we've got going on. So they've got two more games, and both for the men and for the women. A lot of things can happen. A lot of things can happen here in the next week.
You know, there you see a shot of Danny Carroll during a recent win over Carlo. That was actually on the night of Rockets over Rio. Last 3 games have all been shutout wins for the Red Storm over Carlo, Shawnee State, and Point Park. And as we said, Cincinnati Christian on Thursday night, and then they close the season, the regular season that is, Saturday afternoon at Asbury. Men's cross country coming off of a win in the Red Storm Classic this past Saturday, or past Friday, I should say. Big efforts, I guess a virtual tie for first place between Cam Carpenter and Blake Freed and Dallas Guy, and there you actually see them running to the finish line. They all 3 finished at the same time, and it got a little tricky trying to figure out who was the winner.
It was. I was at the finish line when they came across, and it was almost like a little smile as they all came across the line. And the guys keeping the timing system went, oh my goodness, what's that? So it was interesting watching them get that sorted out, who was first, second, and third. But, you know, the thing about cross country is you run just about no matter what. And it was a cold, nasty, rainy, wet day. And
Bob Willie will tell you it's a great day to be a runner.
A great day to be a runner. That's right.
His team, his men's team, is receiving votes in the NAIA Coaches Top 25 right now, and they will be next in action, the River States Conference Championship in Beckley on the 5th of November.
That's right, and they're really looking forward to that because they like that course. Bob says it's a good course for our athletes because of the hills that are there. Right. And we train. You know, we've got a lot of hills to train for ourselves, and he feels very good. Feels very good. He's going to have those guys ready to go.
Women's soccer, they have struggled a little bit. 3-11-2 as they enter their final 2 games of the regular season. As with the men, they are at Cincinnati Christian on Thursday night and Asbury on Saturday. And right now, because of the loss to Point Park on Sunday, they find themselves playing for their postseason life right now.
Right. Yeah, they've got to get some results this weekend to make the tournament, and so they know that, and they're all playing with their head up. They're all playing strong, and it's just a matter of kind of getting things going in the right direction, and that's going to happen for them. Definitely is going to happen.
Volleyball playing pretty well at the moment, although they lost a couple of games last week, fell to Shawnee State and fell to Cincinnati Christian, had won 8 in a row in conference play until that loss to Cincinnati Christian. But at IU East last night. This evening, or I should say on Saturday, they'll take on Midway and Asbury in a crossover event here. And actually, as they get down to the end of their regular season, you see Autumn Snyder there, who went over 1,000 kills for her career in that loss to Cincinnati Christian on Saturday. They're playing pretty well as they head down the stretch run of their season.
Well, you talked about the loss they had on Saturday. They also had a good win.
Against IU Kokomo.
Against IU Kokomo, who has been very good in volleyball in the River State. So, I hope that they're peaking at the right time of the year, and they kind of, they've got some youth, and they just need to understand they've got to go out and every time they take the court, it's got to be 100%.
Our final fall sport that we look at, the women's cross-country team, and like the men, they finished first in the Red Storm Classic last week. Lucy Williams was the top finisher for Rio. There you see her on your screen. She finished second in the event overall behind a young lady from Ohio Christian. Women's team has had its ups and downs, but like the men, they are making now a strong push to try to get something done at the conference meet on the 5th of November.
Well, and I think that's definitely Coach Willie is. He's got a knack of knowing how to peak teams at the right time, and that's what's happening. And so he feels very good about the women as well. They will contend for the championship at the conference meet.
So that's a look at what has gone on in recent days, recent weeks of what's with our fall sports programs. We mentioned getting ready to kick into winter sports and predominantly basketball, and we had a chance earlier today to sit down and chat with Rio Grande men's basketball head coach Ken French as they get ready to begin their season. And here's what Coach French had to say about the 16-17 campaign. And we're joined on the show by Rio Grande men's basketball head coach Ken French. I don't know if there's anybody on this coaching staff here at Rio Grande that looks forward to the start of a new season like you do, and it's almost about time to scratch the itch.
It is, and it's just another chance to start that cycle all over again. It's part of the process. You go through recruiting, and then you get everybody here on campus, and then you go through preseason conditioning and lifting and that process, and then you go through preseason practice, and then you get ready to play some games. And we're almost to that part of the cycle here, and part of that process. You got to be patient with it, but we'll start with some exhibitions and then non-conference play, and then we're right into conference play. So it's here upon us. October went fast.
I guess before we look ahead at the new season, we kind of do a rewind and look at behind the last year, 17-14. And we've talked before, heading into January, everything was rolling right along, but the wheels kind of fell off down the stretch.
Well, it did. Lost a lot of close games, and didn't execute the way we needed to down the stretch. And, in our league, the league is so good. A 2-minute stretch or 1 or 2 possessions can separate you from being fourth in your division or winning your division. And unfortunately, we were on a short end of those possessions, and ended up fourth in the division and lost in the first round of the conference tournament. And now, it's a whole new game, whole new team, and it's going to be new challenges.
The task, not an easy one when you have to replace guys like D.D. Joyner and Dwayne Bazemore.
You got D.D. Joyner, honorable mention All-American, 2-time first-team All-Conference player and fifth-year senior. And then you've got 2-time first-team All-League post player and, arguably the best post player in our entire league in Dwayne Bazemore. And those guys are gone. And last year at this time, I knew our identity. A lot hung on those 2 guys. This year, I don't know our identity. I don't know how we're going to be as a team. I don't know who we're going to hang our hat on, and we've got to develop and identify, what our identity is going to be this year. And that's one of the things early on. We're going to be tested, and we've got to figure that out.
You talk about developing an identity. That's got to be a little bit scary when you're going into a season. I know you've had these guys in practice for a while now, but they've been going at it against each other and not somebody in a different uniform.
You know, you just don't know. You don't know how they're going to react when the lights are on and you're keeping score. And then you add in, get on the bus, go travel 4 hours, play a game or whatever it may be. You know, there's different parameters and the mental makeup of every kid and how they respond. And you know, with a young team, that's always the challenge. Where is your mental toughness at? I've enjoyed every day with these guys. They're coachable. They go hard. They seem to have a high basketball IQ. You know, now it comes down to, can we apply those things in a game setting and game environment? That's the unknown. We just lack experience, and we lack that known commodity of who can we go to, who can deliver, who can do what. Outside of our senior captain, Corey Cruz, we got a lot of guys that don't have a lot of minutes in our system or a lot of minutes, period, in college basketball. So that's part of that development.
There are some familiar names. You mentioned Corey Cruz. You got guys like Devin Price and Will Hill and Abe Easy are back. Those are 4 guys, particularly with the load falling on Corey's shoulders, that are going to have to obviously step up and lead this team.
They do, but it's not all on them. You know, we're definitely a strength in numbers type team. You know, I don't see our numbers changing that much from as far as we're going to be up tempo. We're going to score a lot of points. We're going to have a lot of assists. I think we'll be better defensively. I think team defensively will be better. We'll be able to create some from our defense, but it's all team. It's a team system, whether we're on the offensive or defensive end. And I think all these guys buy into that and play into that. So collectively as a group, last year I knew we had 5 guys that could play well together on the floor. This year we haven't been in that we haven't had that opportunity yet. But at least we do have those returners that we think can play well together and add some pieces to it.
You got among the newcomers quite a bit of international flavor. Raul Timoney, Greg Wallace from Jamaica, Rolls from Spain, Marko Minic from Serbia. It's got a little bit of an international flair.
There's a lot of languages spoke in our locker room. Right now we're fortunate that teamwork is a common bond between all of them, and the chemistry is good. Everybody gets along. But you know, we also haven't lost any games. We haven't divided up any minutes. Nobody's taking a lot of shots, you know, and that kind of stuff. But it's definitely a different group. You know, it's probably the most diverse group that I've ever had. And right now, it's one of the best groups as far as coming in each day and having fun and just enjoying the game and working hard and embracing that process that we've been talking about. This group has done that.
You know, another guy that I want to mention, technically he's a newcomer because he hasn't been on the floor for you yet, but yet he was here last year and going through practice, and that's Stanley Christian.
High motor, versatile, can play a lot of positions, knows the system, but again, hasn't played a college minute yet. So what are we going to get from him? I got an idea, but you know, we'll see how that plays out. Plays hard, goes hard, high motor, can do a lot of different things. Should be a stat sheet stuffer for us. You know, can score double figures if needed, can get double figure rebounds if needed, can get 5 or 6 assists in a game if needed, and definitely will be able to run the floor and defend.
Talk a little bit about the River States Conference. Earned a little bit of national recognition last year with the success that IU East had in the national tournament, and they should be loaded again.
You know, the league's a lot deeper. It's a lot more competitive than what people realize. IU East going on the run that they had last year helps the conference, helps our identity, but the league is a lot different. And I say that because last year we had 7 or 8 returning first-team all-league players. This year we don't. This year the league's kind of like our team. There's a lot of people that we know that are going to be good, that are very good basketball players, but we just don't know yet who those first-team league all-league guys are like we did last year. We could all list them out. But the league's deeper. The quality of play in this league is a lot better than what people nationally give us credit for, and I think people are starting to see that and figure that out.
Before we let you go, kind of discuss the schedule a little bit. You get started with exhibition games against Wright State Lake and Ohio University. The Wright State Lake game here on a Friday night, we're going to honor veterans, and in particular Jim Marshall. And then you get into the regular season schedule, and like you said, it's chock full of River State Conference games, but there's non-conference games that are tough too.
You know, I don't know who made this schedule. I do know who made the schedule, and I need to sit down and have a talk with him. But I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest. But I wanted to challenge this group, even though I knew we were going to be young. I thought we would be talented. So we're going to get tested. And 3 all on the road games against crossroad teams. We go out to California. We play a very good Vanguard team. And then we play a team that we really don't know a lot about. Then, you know, we have the D2 showcase that we're hosting in Tennessee. We've got the Bevo, which has our rival Shawnee State playing in it, and there's a good chance that we'll play them on Saturday. And, you know, exhibitions with Wright State Lake at home on November 4th. Then we turn around the very next day on November 5th and go to OU and play the D1 exhibition. This team is going to get challenged, and we have to grow up quickly. If we don't, we're going to take some on the chin. But I also think our guys are smart enough to understand the schedule is challenging for them, and they're ready to compete and take on that challenge. We know we're not going to run the table or anything like that. We know we're probably going to beat some teams we probably shouldn't, but we may lose to a team we probably, on paper, we look better than, you know. And that's part of the process of being a young team and trying to figure things out.
Well, hopefully it all turns out for the best. We're looking forward to it, and good luck as you head into the 16-17 season.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Randy.
And that was the interview that we did a little earlier today with head coach Ken French of the Rio men's basketball program. In studio with us, we can actually turn and speak face-to-face to David Smalley, who's the head coach of the women's program. And Coach, kind of like Coach French said, the start of your season is just around the corner, and you guys got to be excited and ready to go.
Well, Randy, we are excited and ready to go, and we're excited from that last loss that we had. You know, IU Southeast came in; it was 77-81. We got a big picture up in our locker room where we, probably my fault, where we just didn't respect the opponent. We had beaten them like 10 days earlier, and there was one player that we didn't probably plan for, and then all of a sudden they come in and they just rock our world in the first round of the tournament. So we're excited. I guarantee you we're excited. Got a great group, great coaching staff, and we're looking forward to get this thing started.
David, you've been going at it now for a couple months, maybe. Is that? I mean, you've been doing conditioning and different things, and tell us about the mental makeup of your girls that you've got going now.
Well, first of all, we're coming off of a year, the past year, where we just had a tremendous group of young ladies in the classroom, and I think there's a great transfer and a carryover. And we have another great group that's doing a great job in the classroom, and they're just mentally tough. They're very strong. They're a lot of new faces, a lot of new freshmen. I think today is our 32nd practice that we're going to be going on the floor, not to mention all the conditioning that we've gone through. And one of the best things about this preseason conditioning last year, and at this time, we had 2 blown knees and a broken foot in 3 places, and we're knocking on some wood that's not happening again. And I think our kids are just really focused. They're excited. They understand the possibilities that could happen, and we've had a good preseason conditioning and great practices at this point.
You got a pretty good nucleus to work around too. We got a chance to look at a couple of photos here of some kids that are coming back. Sharday Baines and Brooke Markham. There's Sharday on the screen. Good to have her back at the point guard position, and then like I said, you've got Brooke Markham back underneath, and those are 2 pretty good places to build around.
Well, we're definitely starting out with those 2 players along with a couple others, but you know, we'll start out with Sharday. You mentioned her. She's just done a tremendous job for us at the point guard spot. She is coming off of basically off of a season where she averaged about 11 points a game last year for us at the point guard spot. Can shoot the 3, as that picture you just showed was almost mechanically perfect on that release. And she's a senior, so she's hungry. Brooke Markham, 10 points, 7 rebounds after breaking her foot in 3 places and had a pin put in. kind of set her back a little bit at the start of the season, but end up doing 10-7. And I believe, and I don't want to put any stress or pressure on her, but I think she's a 20 and 12 type of kid, 20 points, 12 rebounds. She's close to being one of the few players in this program to surpass 1,000 points and 1,000 rebounds. So that's there as well. Allie Herron, another senior for us, who's a great role player and shoots the three well. She's on an average in the 3 years she's been in this system is averaging about 36% at the three. She has 107 career threes made, and she can light it up. And we're excited about the leadership that those three are bringing. We would have had two other seniors, in Audra Clark and Alexis Payne, but they blew their knees out last year, and we're redshirting them. And happy to say that they're both well and coming back. So we're excited about the leadership that we have coming back off of the varsity, especially at the senior and the junior spot.
Well, tell us, David, about the River States Conference. Pretty competitive, as you said. A lower seed came in here last year and beat you in the tournament. So there's no easy nights off in the league at all.
I tell you, Jeff, with the addition of the Indiana teams, IU East and IU Southeast and Point Park and then Asbury, this is a very, very solid conference. You know, when we got in this, talking about getting in this a few years ago, I'll be honest with you, the depth of this conference is much, much better than what I anticipated. And, you know, we won the conference the first year we were in. Probably would have had a good shot at winning it last year if we didn't have the injuries that we talked about. We had some nasty losses last year that just still kind of haunt me. 1 point loss to Salem. The first league game, Point Park comes down here, and we lose to them on our own floor. And if you recall, I think in the last probably 6 or 7 minutes of that game, we just couldn't put the ball in the hole, and that was the only conference game that that was the first conference game, and that really kind of set the tone. Then we was upset at West Virginia Tech, and then the IU Southeast tournament. To me, those are 4 losses that probably should have gone the other way, and that would have had a completely different look at it. But our conference is unbelievable. We got Asbury, who made it to the Sweet 16 and was one overtime loss away from the Elite Eight. And then IU East, who was just unbelievably talented last year, and they're even better this year, had a barn burner shootout. It was 100 and something to 91, and they lost in the first round. So those are our 2 premier teams that we are definitely showcasing starting out in the conference, trying to get in the top 25. But there's IU Southeast is going to be awesome. I think Point Park is going to be awesome, and I think we're going to be in there as well. So it's a tough conference and a great competitive conference.
Kind of quickly before we let you go, you talked about some of the kids who are back. How about some of the newcomers that people might want to keep an eye on?
We have, we've had some great recruiting classes down the stretch, and this one could go as maybe one of our elite or our tops. But we have 5 freshmen that's on the varsity, and we're excited about all of our newcomers. We have a JV basketball team that's right now 28-0, spanning over the last 2 years, and they're 1-0 this season. So, we treat that as a feeder system, and we're excited about that. We have a young lady from Jay County High School, Abby Wendell, who kind of recruited us because of the sonography program that we have, and she's going to get some great quality minutes and help Charday out at the point. Sydney Holden from Wheelersburg, a little bigger guard than what we're used to having, but she's about 5'9", 5'10". She can play 1, 2, and 3, and is going to give us some good minutes. Cameron Conaway from Lucasville Valley puts me in mind of a previous player that we had, but I don't want to put any stress on Cameron, but she's got a lot of upswing and a lot of talent and can do some nice things. Laurel Polito went to Wadsworth High School, won a state championship, so she's bringing that leadership and that type of winning into this program. And Cheyenne Scott from Ironton, one of the most athletic kids you're going to see, and can shoot the 3. So we're very deep, very athletic. I think you're going to see even more pressing and more things from us this year, and we stay healthy, good things happen. I think we got a shot of being very, very respectable.
Well, good luck as the season rolls along. You get it started 1 week from today against Mount Vernon Nazarene.
Cool.
All All right, that's David Smalley, the women's basketball head coach. Before we wrap things up today, I want to point out a redesign of the Rio Grande Athletic website, RioRedStorm.com. It went live a couple of days ago, and there you see a look at the new homepage and obviously bigger pictures. It's got a link to social media, all different kinds of new things on there, Jeff, and I think kudos to the folks at SID Help for their work on getting it done.
It is. They did a nice job with that, and Randy, we can't go without saying good job to you, because you were the one that did a lot of this background work to make this happen, and we really appreciate that. It's very well done, and we will definitely be able to utilize that.
I think it's something that was long overdue, and talking to those folks, I guess those are the type of things that are supposed to be done every 2 to 3 years and hadn't been done since '09.
Right,
So.
It's been a while for us. So, and it looks good. I think it will be very useful, and a lot of information there. We've got a lot of information.
The positive comments that we're getting thus far are a good sign that maybe we did the right thing.
I think Coach French had a tweet question. I don't know the terminology for that, Randy, but he said, "Tell me, excellent or okay?" And he just told me before we came in here that about 85% of his responses now are excellent. So it's good. And maybe the last thing, if you see something on there that's a link that's not working, we're still in the process of kind of getting all the little bugs worked out too. So just let us know. Give us a call. Shoot us an email, tweet. Let us know so we can get that taken care of.
See if we can get a shot in before we wrap it up. The upcoming schedule that is coming up for all the athletic events. You see, we talked about the soccer at Cincinnati Christian on Thursday, and then the River States crossover event that is here on Saturday, and of course soccer on the road as well. And it just continues on into November when you start to throw postseason events in cross country and volleyball and men's soccer up, and then we introduce the start of the basketball schedule as well. So plenty of things to come, some on campus, some off, and we invite you obviously to come out and check out as many of those events as possible. That is going to put a wrap on Eye on the Storm here, the October edition. We invite you to come back. We'll join you again in November, and we'll see what's going on in the early part of the men's and women's basketball schedule, as well as what's going on in the postseason for the fall club. So until then, for Dave Smalley, for Jeff Lanham, Randy Payton saying so long, and we'll see you next time here on Eye on the Storm.